Merry Meet Witchlings, welcome back. It's the Twisted Witch, Midnight Moonsong here. And I'm making a video you can see my face on. But I want to talk about a heavier topic. I don't know exactly how it ties into witchcraft. I guess you can say that witchcraft itself can kind of tie into this in the sense that it can make you feel better about yourself. And I guess self-empowerment spells and such like that are a thing, so you can always use that. But this video mainly is about disliking yourself and accepting things about yourself. Excuse me, I also have a really bad cough today. Nobody is ever going to be completely 100% okay with how they look, how they feel. That's just something that exists, and that's just something that's always going to exist with everybody. Everybody's going to want what they can't have. I have wavy curly hair. I always wanted straight hair. That's a normal reaction. That is something that is completely and utterly normal, and people, please realize that and don't think it's a bad thing to want what you can't have. I mean, you can't have it, so it automatically becomes something that seems greater to you than what you have. It's normal. But what I am going to talk about is not really that. It's about stuff that just completely disappoints you about who you are. And this stuff can be physical, and this stuff can be psychological. I have my own psychological issues. I won't share them all here, but because there are some really, really personal things that I go through that I'm not going to share here as to why I react certain ways to certain things. I do have major OCD to the point where things just cannot work and function in a normal way, the way they should. And I don't like that about myself, but it's not really something that it can change overnight. It's something that is very hard to change. One of the things I do want to talk about is when people really don't like their appearance. Because, let's face it, this world shouldn't revolve around appearances, but it kind of does. You have to look presentable to get a job. You have to look presentable to attract someone. Most people, if they see someone who looks haggard and worn and filthy, nobody wants to go around them. Nobody wants to do anything with them. Nobody wants to really associate with that person. And that's sad, but I know some people come up with they can have hygiene. And yeah, like, I get it, you're right, they could, but some people don't for whatever reason, and people turn away at them, and it's because of how they look, and people feel nasty to be around these other people. But they seem to forget that person still has feelings. Yes, they might not be the cleanest person, but they still have feelings. They still have a need and a want to be accepted by their peers and others around them. So I do think that people could be a little more courteous to that. But let's face it, I'm not saying I'm completely 100% right. I'm going to always be friends with these type of people. I'm going to go talk to them and stuff, because we all make mistakes, and we all do stuff like that. It's somewhat psychological, I guess. It's something that's sadly ingrained into us. This world that we live in is very much based on looks, and that is really kind of heartbreaking. But in a sense, I can understand why, in a weird way, but it doesn't make it right. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I can understand why sometimes things look that way, why you go to someone's looks before you go to their heart. You don't see into someone's heart. You see someone's looks. You see how someone looks before you see anything else about them, before you really notice anything about them. And that's not our fault. It's because we have eyes. And yes, I know that, some people are blind, and I get that. And so for them, this video is probably not for you, because you don't have to experience this. You probably don't really, if you're blind, honestly, I can't see someone really caring about looks, to be honest. So, lucky you, you're not as shallow as the rest of us. That was a joke, by the way. Don't at me. But because looks are the first things we see, that's the first thing that we judge. And it is kind of sad, especially when you feel like people are all going to be looking at you directly. They're all going to be looking directly at that flaw that you hate. And that's exactly why I decided to make this video. I have flaws. I don't always like the way I look. And one thing I'm sure you all probably notice, I have a gap in my teeth on my top of my mouth. And I hate that. But it's hereditary. My family is known for not having very nice looking mouths, I guess. But to do what I need done would be a pretty big reconstruction, not simple, oh, get braces, that'll work type of scenario. And let's face it, I don't have the money or the time to spend hours and thousands of dollars just to get my whole top of my mouth reconstructed so it looks presentable. You know, let's face it, people aren't going to have the time for that. And some people speak so easily of, oh, well, go get that fixed. Oh, go get plastic surgery if you don't like the way this looks and such like that. But one, some people don't believe in plastic surgery. Some people don't look at that as beautiful, and that's fine. I don't have anything wrong with people getting plastic surgery. I won't, because I also have a big fear of doctors. Oh my god. It takes forever to get me to go to the hospital for anything. I have to have my husband with me, or somebody with me. I can't go by myself. I've had panic attacks at the doctor's office before. It's a nightmare. It really is. And a lot of it stems from, well, I was always uncomfortable around doctors when I was little, but I wasn't really scared of them until I had to spend time in the hospital when my grandmother was dying, and the nurses and such were just not great. To put it into perspective, I'm not going to go really big into this story, but my grandmother had a benign tumor on her liver that broke off, and it created a big hole in her liver. And if any of you know what happens when your liver gets in trouble, you change color. You get celiac, and that gives you a yellowish tinge to your skin, and it can get really dark. Like, we're talking The Simpsons level of yellow. And to see someone you love go through that, excuse me, she got to where she couldn't even stand, and she had to stay in her hospital bed. She couldn't even get up. And she was that bright color. It was sad. It was scary. And there was this machine that went off every, I want to say 5 or 6 minutes or so, give or take. It could have been 10 minutes. I don't know. I wasn't really focused on the time. But the nurse would have to come in, and she would have to flip a switch. It was to make them check on her. And the nurse got tired of going in there because it would go off, and I would have to go and get her to bring her in there because my mom and my aunt were off doing other important legal stuff, so they couldn't be there, and I elected to stay with my grandmother. And at the time, my grandmother was sleeping because of her pain medication. So I was just kind of sitting there reading, and this machine kept going off, and so I kept having to go and ask them, hey, the machine's going off, please, can you come in here and do something? And keep in mind, I was a lot younger than this. I wasn't even out of high school when my grandmother died. I was younger. I think I was a junior. I could have been a sophomore. I'm not positive, but that's not important. So these nurses, there's 2 of them. Only one of them would get up, and she would come in, and she would be kind of huffy when she did. And then eventually she goes, you know what? You can just push the button. Just push this button right here. And that floored me. I was only like 16 or 17 years old. I'm in no way qualified to touch the machine that they have her hooked up to. I have no idea how the machine works at all. And they just told me that instead of her coming in to check on my grandmother who is dying, that I'm the one who should be pushing one button on this thing. I was very angry. Very angry. I was so upset. I was already fighting back tears just having to look at what had become of my grandmother. And now having to deal with this, knowing that the nurses couldn't even be bothered to come in there to check on her, that got me. And I get they were probably thinking if something's wrong, I would tell them, but she was just sleeping, so I wouldn't have really known if anything was wrong. She wasn't hooked up to a lot of monitors at that point. She was hooked up to a heart monitor, but that was about it. She had a heart monitor and an IV drip, and this machine. And all this machine did, like I said, was beep to let them know to come in there and check on her. At least that's all I think. I have no idea what it was for other than that. And that's what got me. It's like, what if, like, something happened and I didn't notice? Like, just because the heart monitor is working doesn't mean there's nothing wrong with the patient. And I was too emotionally devastated to really comprehend a lot of that stuff. And so about, I don't want to say half an hour or so after that, the doctor came in and I told him what happened. I was like, I'm not supposed to be doing that, right? And he was like, no, I don't know why they told you that, but no, do not worry about that. I'll take care of it. I'm very, very sorry. Because he could see how distraught I was. And just having to sit there in this place, I started feeling like the walls were closing in around me. I started feeling like I couldn't breathe. And ever since that day, having to deal with just sitting in there watching my grandmother die was terrible. And I can't do hospitals anymore. It freaked me out so much that to the point, like, hospitals absolutely terrify me. I can't just go to them. And that is another thing that I really, really hate about myself, because if something really bad happens, I need to go. I have a foster son. If something bad happens to him and he needs to go to the hospital, he has to go. And I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to suffer through that because I know that he needs it, because he's only 2. So I have to be the bigger person to stand up and take him, because he can't obviously take himself. And it's really hard to think about that. It's really hard to think about that one day we all will end up in the hospital at some point. When our life starts to fail us, that we're going to end up there, hooked up to all those machines, dying in a room that's just colorless and awful, and that thought terrifies me. It absolutely terrifies me. So even the thought of, like, going under for something as simple as a tooth reconstruction, or, they called it a mouth roof reconstruction thing, I don't know. It was some weird reconstruction thing. Even that terrifies me. But stuff like money and time, because I work constantly, that type of thing takes its toll. So you can't always fix the problems that you don't like. So what you can do, though, is try to tell yourself and show yourself that there's nothing to be ashamed of. Yeah, it gives me a lisp and makes my mouth look weird, but it's still me. It might be a flaw that I see, but it's still me. It's still who I am. And I am just as much my flaws as I am everything else. In fact, it's your flaws that make perfection. It's the imperfect that makes the perfect perfect. It's the bad that makes the good. It's the chaos that makes the order. If you didn't have these things you didn't like, you wouldn't be able to have anything you do like. I like to look at things that way. So for every imperfection I see, something I don't like, I force myself to find something I do like. Let's say I don't like my teeth, so I like my eyes. I'll tell myself that. I have green eyes. I don't know if you can see on the camera, but my eyes are green. There's no trick. Green is a rare color, and that's why I like him. I like the fact that it's uncommon and it's unique and it's something that not a lot of other people have. So that is something that I always put forth and think about whenever I brush my teeth in the morning, and whenever I do anything like that involves me smiling really big, because I can't smile really big because subconsciously I don't want to. I'm like, oh, my teeth, I hate them, they look so ugly. And then I'm like, oh, but my eyes are nice. That's how I tell myself to look up, to look on the bright side of things, to not dwell too much on what the imperfections are, because for every imperfection there's going to be a perfection. For everything good, there's going to be a bad, but that goes vice versa. And knowing that and using that, I've been able to overcome a lot of emotional things against myself. I was really depressed when I was younger, so overcoming that hate against myself and what I looked like physically is a big step. And I think it's a step a lot of people could take that a lot of people are afraid to take. So all of you out there who are depressed, who see a lot more imperfections and perfections on your face, I'm with you. I've experienced it. I live it now. But I challenge you, for every imperfection you find a perfection that goes with it. For everything you don't like, find something you do like. Even if something you only like a little bit that you find less imperfect than everything else, put that with it. And so whenever you start looking at and thinking about the part you don't like, you can always say, but I like this. Like, I don't like my teeth, but I like my eyes. Because they're unique, and they're wide, and they're, yeah, because I have like really big wide eyes. They're pretty, whatever. You know, tell yourself this. It's not narcissistic and bad to think of yourself as pretty or beautiful or handsome or what have you. To think of yourself as something good, to love yourself. It's not narcissistic and bad to do that. Narcissism is thinking you're better than everyone else. It's thinking that your appearance and you are all that matter. That's what narcissism is. But liking yourself and loving who you are and understanding that you're part of the world and you're not the most important thing in the world, but you are important to you. I think that is something that most people need to start doing, because a lot about our society nowadays is painting the picture, oh, you're a narcissist if you like yourself. And then there's the other part of society that's saying, no, love yourself, love you. You know, there's the body movement, there's all kinds of acceptance speeches now going on that we didn't have back when they had the very, very stereotype, hourglass figured shape or what have you. If you want to cry, cry. If you want to scream, scream. But also remember to smile. I love you all. I might not know all of you, but I can give you all some form of love. I hope all of you have a great day, night, whenever this video reaches you. And I hope you all understand that you might have imperfections, but that doesn't mean you're ugly. It doesn't mean you're trash, and it doesn't mean you're a monster. It means you're unique and special in your own way. A uniqueness that is only going to be about you. Well, blessed be everyone, and have a magical day.